Okay, guys. Uh, I think I realized that I've been talking to myself for the past 45 minutes, and I apologize for that. Um, no wonder I was chatting with you. You're like, what's going on here? I am so sorry. So I've got to start all the way from the beginning. Uh, Hello, Chris. Okay, all right. We are gonna have to rewind the clock, and you're gonna have to forgive me because I did some stuff that wasn't on stream. I'm going to start all the way from the beginning. Say hello and welcome to Great Train Layouts Live. I'm your host, Nick Ozrak, and we are here tonight building the Pennsylvania Railroad Middle Division, aka the Pennsy Middle Division, as designed by Gordon Odegaard and built by Dave Frary. This was a book that I picked up from a recent trip down to Alabama in a hobby shop, the Pennsy Middle Division, and how to build it. It is a compilation of model railroader articles. Yes, Dakota, I forget to hit the button. I did, and I feel so embarrassed because I did so much talking and so much explaining that I'm going to repeat now for your benefit. So bear with me here. So this Pennsy Middle Division book, got it, and I honestly, the reason I got it, A, some great photos of the finished layout, and B, this pretty colorful track plan. I looked at this track plan and it's like, that looks pretty. And then the photos of the layout were pretty. And I read the book, and I liked the book. Um, but then I looked at this plan a lot in detail, and I thought, I have some issues with this that I want to improve on. But I want to keep the spirit of this layout, because I do think there's something to the spirit of this design. So yeah, I'm still reeling from the fact that I've been talking for 45 minutes to myself and you guys were along for the ride. I'm so sorry. I literally just forgot to press go live. So in fact, I'm going to just double check my back end and make sure that yes, okay, now you are actually seeing me. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for sticking around. Let's get into it. Pennsy Middle Division is sponsored by Broadway Limited Imports, creators of some great HO and N scale models. Tonight we're going to be talking about this plan, and we're going to be talking about their heavyweight passenger cars, which fit really well into the landscape and the nature of this track plan. So let's talk. We'll talk about the red lines that Matthew Harris is noting, and we'll talk about why there's two track plans on screen by starting with this. So, Pennsy Middle Division, as designed by Gordon Odegaard, built by Dave Frary in through the 1993 series of model railroader articles. What do I like about it? I love the presentation. It is such an inviting space. You're not going to see this super well because I didn't scan this photo, but there's this really nice two. You could see Dave with the layout here, and it just invites you in, especially this big centerpiece hill, which you can see in this corner here. I think there's something about you look at this and you just want to go into this world. There's plenty of track plans where the modeling on it is super great. Well, and layouts, the modeling is great. It's beautiful, but as a piece within a room, maybe it doesn't look quite as artistic. There's something about this where it feels very artistic. So I like it for that. I like the spirit of what it's trying to do. But there are some things that as I stared at this more and more, I realized I did not like about it. Hostler Productions, you missed nothing because I forgot to press the live button. So we're starting from the beginning, and we're going to talk about we're talking about the track plans, and then we're getting into the building. So, what do I not like about this plan? Number one is this yard here. Jeez, Lord mercy, I do not like this yard because it's a stub end yard, which means you can only switch it from one direction, and there's not a lot of real world stub end yards that have a lot of 5-track stub end yards. They do exist, but there needs to be some function to them, and this yard does not have a clear function. It's not serving a specific industry. There's no in or out tracks for cars. It just is there. On top of that, it has no yard lead. So if you're switching cars, there's a good chance that you're going to go on the main. And if you go on the main, you are tying up the entire main, because despite this being a 2-track main line through this center section, it merges into a single track at this point, which also means that you have to manually route trains between the two lines, and you've got this bottleneck. This isn't the spirit of the middle division. And along those same lines, the middle division is in the Pennsylvania Railroad era, it's a 4-track main line. But the only 4 tracks we get is right here by the tunnels, which is the cover shot of the book. It's a great shot. This feels very middle division. But that's the only bit where we have 4 tracks. Now, I do like that there's kind of this staging you have underneath this hill. So you can have a train come into the scene and go out. I do like that. But my third big issue with the layout is this mine branch. I like that it exists. I don't like that it's a stub end, because it means you have to shove your cars the whole way up. And then the tracks themselves aren't even that long. So there's a very limited utility to the mine itself. And it's the one thing on this layout, other than this like fuel dealership here, that has function. Because again, I don't see what this yard's doing. So I took this to the Journal of Model Railroad Design Facebook group, which if you're a track plan nerd like me, you should totally become a member of, because there's a lot of analysis of track plans. If you're considering building a layout, there's a lot of people that can chime in on what you should consider. And I will say that this book in general, so it's out of print, I liked it. I think there's some great modeling techniques in here as far as how to do rivers and trees, how to make a very solid track work that's going to hold up no matter what. What I didn't like about the book is that there's not any discussion about the thought process to the design. Like, why was this track plan made in the way it was? What seeds was it trying to emulate? How the history of the Pennsylvania Railroad ties into it. I feel like that is a shortcoming of the story, because if you're going to cover a layout from inception to completion, there really should be some conversation about the design philosophy. And I'd be curious to talk to Gordon, who's no longer with us and hasn't been for quite some time, about what were the choices, like, why did you make the choices that you were making here? So I brought it to the group, and some people were saying, why would you want to build this in a sim? Because they agreed that there were shortcomings to the plan. Why would you want to build it in a sim? For me, I like the challenge of, there's something to the spirit of this I want to capture. And I want to see if we can make it a little bit more operations friendly without compromising the nature of the design. Because we could do more if it was an around the room layout in an 11 by 16 foot room. We could do more if it was N scale, but keeping it HO, keeping it to the specific size, what are we trying to do? So that's where the red lines came in. So this is kind of Rob Chant, who's on that Facebook group, contributed a lot of thoughts to this. I did some brainstorming on myself. Other people chimed in. This is the result. So fixing number 1 issue, the yard. The yard is gone. We are taking out the yard. We are replacing it with a single industry, which you'll see what that is in a moment. But we're going to just, not a yard. That way it's something that's switched by road freight that comes in, swaps a couple cars, bang, bang, boom. It's out of the way. Number 1. Number 2, in the mine branch. Well, first of all, we're also reversing this crossover. So note how on the original plan here, we're going the wrong way, in the sense that you come off the mine branch and you're stuck on this outer loop. Well, if we swap that crossover, now when you come off the mine branch, you could actually have a choice on which the dispatcher can choose which way they're going to route their line. Chris Scott says there should be a model horseshoe curve track plan, or should say Pittsburgh line. Yeah, I mean, there are. I wanted to play with this one. I mean, there's a lot of Pennsy track plans in a lot of different ways. Part of the challenge is also for a live stream standpoint. The Pennsy is a big thing. It's hard to do the Pennsy in a small space. We'll talk more about that in a moment. So that fixes issue number one. Issue number two, not having a 4-track mainline. Bam, now we have a 4-track mainline. Actually, it's technically a double-track mainline that we've turned into a dog bone, but it does work. It's a 4-track mainline for that piece of scenery from there to there. And I think that's a pretty good way to go about doing it. We're going to have a nice switch tower over here. This is going to feel like a junction in the heart of the Pennsy. And issue number 3, the mine. Now, I wrestled with this. I really wanted to keep the loop going around the hill because I like that as a scene with the bridge. It's pretty. But I struggled with how to make the mine work. I did think about making the mine straddle over this part of the layout, but then you'd have to have a duck under here, and it felt crowded. So the trade-off is that now the mine branch cuts through the center and then it goes over here. And actually, now this is admittedly taking us beyond the 11 by 16 foot space, but I will say that if you wanted to be traditional, keep it to an 11 by 16, you could just shorten this mine out a little bit. Your tracks are going to be shorter, but you could make it work, and you could just X-nay the staging. This is actually double-decker, and you'll see that in a moment, where the mine is on top and the staging's on the bottom. So, with that said, are you ready to see the track plan? Well, here we go. So, if I turn the root layer back on and I turn off that, this is what I've come up with. And I have to confess, I cheated a little bit by building the fascia and the walls in advance. And I did some of the track work in advance, and I've spent the past half hour talking to myself doing the remainder of the track work. So the track work is already kind of done. So if you don't like missing me doing track work in the future, do let me know. Because I knew this would be too big a build to fit into a conventional live stream if I was starting from a true blank slate. Especially with regards to the complex geometry of the tunnels here and this staging underneath the mine. So I've already spent a few hours on this layout, so I knew it wasn't going to fit into a single stream. And hearing feedback from you guys, you've said you prefer when I do one layout in one live stream. You don't like when I stretch one layout into multiple builds or into multiple nights. And that's fine. I mean, I go by your feedback. If you want me to do more multi-stream builds, I will do that. But this is me experimenting with doing something larger that I'm able to fit into a single stream. So basically, all you've missed so far is I put in this loop and I put in some mountains. So I kind of did those pits already, but there's still some exploration to be done. I'm still going to be looking for some naming ideas from you guys for industries, towns, that kind of thing. So feel free to chime in. The creative process is just beginning. Hostler, where am I going to put the EVT? Funny you should say that. I'm not. But it's funny because I was talking to myself before I pressed go live about my love of Central PA. And that's really why I wanted to keep the design elements largely the same, is I want this to feel like you are walking into Huntington, Pennsylvania. You're walking into Lewistown. I want you to feel like you are going into the heart of the Pennsy. So now we're going to talk about the buildings and how that plays a role. We've got some of the geography in place already. We've got this big mountain here, which kind of divides a few scenes. We're going to have our big junction scene over here with the mine branch kind of quietly existing in the back. We've got this lower rock ledge scene, which is another advantage of how we've adapted the design. We've daylighted this portion because now our staging is elsewhere. So you've got this nice rock face curve, kind of Susquehanna River-esque thing going on here. And then right above it, we're going to have a nice big old farm. We're going to have a farm with the fields to really evoke the sort of Lewisburg, PA area where the mountains are in the distance. You've got kind of rolling foothills before you get. I mean, I guess we're sort of still in the Appalachians, but not in the Appalachians in quite the same way. And this is the trade-off. So we lose that nice curved scene with the viaduct from the original plan, but we gain a nice farm scene, which makes it a little bit more unique because we already have a lot of mountains as it is. So, the fun stuff is still ahead, Jimmy. Glad that you, thank you guys for letting me know I had to press the go live. I'm chatting with you. I'm like, they're not saying a lot about what I'm building. And now I know why you weren't. So, thank you for bearing with me. You guys are awesome. Okay, let's get into some buildings. So, one of the differences off the bat, when we look at this, ignoring the yard, we've got this town here with a lot of houses and the like. We've got a few industries up here. We're going to keep kind of true to that, but we don't have a station. And I want a train station. I want a train station because just by virtue of having a train station, now a passenger train has something to do when it enters the scene. It's not just going through the layout. I mean, some might, an express might, but a local is going to stop there. That's now one more point on the operation scale. And we've got the room for it. I took out this mountain. There is a mountain here, but something I like to avoid with model railroading is the sort of the anthill effect, where most of the layout's flat, and then you have this one mountain in the corner. And not to disparage that if that's your thing. I know there's plenty of layouts that do that. But given that we don't have a backdrop here to sort of make that mountain seem like it's part of something larger, because this is its own island, we're just going to X-nay the mountain. In fact, the challenge that I'm issuing myself tonight is, and we've done versions of this before, we have this open peninsula where it itself doesn't have a backdrop. It will kind of borrow the backdrop from the very back wall, but it doesn't have its own backdrop. I want this to feel like multiple scenes just by virtue of the buildings that we place and how we place them and how we place the roads through them. Good evening, SD Pandy Projects and Kevin Seibert. So, what are we going to do with the spur right here? This spur is going to be a freight shed, and it's going to be a big, meaty freight shed. It's going to be technically a D&H freight shed, but I don't have a big Pennsy freight shed model to borrow from, and I like this model. This is a nice model. Like, it just looks classy. And there's something about its length that feels like it's kind of serving as a dividing point between the two halves of the layout. So we're going to place it kind of in line with the end of the track, like so. Probably there, because I do intend to have that bridge and that water feature in place. We'll link up the straight piece to it. So, you guys know that I like to call on you to come up with names. Name this town. This town does not have a name. Well, no, it does. Andrews. But Andrews is not a town on the Pennsy. Yes, we could call it a real name. We could call it Lewistown or something. But I like doing freelance names. So, you guys have... And I'm going to give you some time. You don't have to come up with a name right away. But come up with a Pennsylvania-ish name for this town that we've got here. So we've got that. We are going to add our train station. And we're going to place it right here. Because we've got this beautiful, nice, straight piece of tangent track. We could put it in on a curve. There's no reason we couldn't. Especially since we do technically now have this area to work with. But I want to make that I think I want to make that a forest, because we're not going to actually have a lot of woods. We'll see. I say that, and I'm maybe not entirely certain if I agree with myself on that. We're going to do some row, well, not quite row houses, but we are going to do a row of houses here. We're kind of following the guide of where they are in the plan. We're just doing less road crossings. There's a lot of roads in here. I don't want to have as many crossings. Because there's no way you can, like, when you're running a train, especially if you're running it at Pennsy speeds, you're not going to be able to do a two lawn, short lawn here and then do another one right over there, especially where there's a junction there. So we're just getting rid of that road. Easy peasy. We are going to do a couple of rows of storefronts. This is going to be the big dividing element between the two halves. So we've got our kind of commercial district next to where the station is, which makes sense because the station would have been a driver for people coming in for the commerce. We're going to do this as the front. And we're going to just lay it out like so. I'll probably turn it off, the backdrop off eventually, because I don't really need that anymore. Well, nah, I'm going to put one other thing in and then I'll... not that. Yeah, we'll put some loose roads in. We're going to have a road going along the houses, although maybe not that close, because I am going to want a little bit of room for sidewalk and such. And then the road kind of disappears off there. We're going to obviously have a road coming, intersecting here. And then another road going along here. Maybe with a little bit more room so we can have a sidewalk. But yeah, that's my big idea of how we're going to separate the two halves. And I did contemplate putting in a dividing backdrop. You could have a backdrop that splits the two. But I kind of like having it open. And I think we can make it work in a way that doesn't feel forced. Kantorskiville. I get that joke. Nope. Funny, but nope. Irondale. Irondale. Yeah. Cattorsburg. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I get Brewster. Okay, I like Brewster. Storebirch. Okay. Colchester. Okay, I'm writing these down because I'm going to forget them half hour from now. Colchester, Brewster, Irondale. Okay, I might make it a vote later, but keep your naming ideas for this town keep coming in. We've got the road. It will cross in front of the freight station here. It will go to this industry, which is going to be this building. It's not inherently rail served. I just felt like it looked cool. It looked kind of old school Pennsy-ish. I will say that this layout, admittedly, it's kind of a vibes layout. Like, even we are bringing more operations to it, but as people have said elsewhere, there's ways you could get more operations if you use the space differently. Certainly if you did a double-decker, we are going for the vibes and the feel. Dillsburg. Yeah, real place, but good idea nonetheless. I like that as a scene. And this is where, you guys know, I love talking about pre-visualization, but I think that the ability to place the scene in advance and actually look through it, so it's not just that top-down view but you're actually able to go to track level and go, well, how does that look with that scene there? How does this building relate to that building? How does it look from this angle? It just gives you a totally different relationship to a two-dimensional track plan. And that's even before we get into playtesting. And you guys know I love me some playtesting. We've got our station. We've got our buildings. We've got our houses. I'm going to leave that for now because I'm challenging myself to make sure we still get this layout done on time, even with a 45-minute delay of things. So we'll leave that for now and maybe do some other buildings because I want to make sure I use everything I've got as well. Oh yeah, this was another freight house idea. And this is something, I mean, we have a lot of space to work with this peninsula. And the good thing about this design is that we don't have to reach in. We can put scenery in the center because we don't have track there. We don't have to worry about reaching over things or reaching to things. I went with this one ultimately because I didn't like how much this stood out. It works for the space. It's not bad, but it's It's big. It feels a little too domineering. This feels a little bit more like it flows and belongs. I'm probably going to fill this with some degree of trees or background. I don't know yet. Do I want to keep going with this scene or do I want to switch gears? Maybe we'll just keep going with this scene before we switch on to the next. So here's what it looks like without the base map in place. I definitely... This isn't a bad view, but it is recognizing that when you can see a curve like this, it maybe does look a little funky. So I'm wondering how we do if we put some trees in the middle there. Maybe a little bit of a hill, like not a huge hill, but just a... Not a huge hill. Nope, wrong thing. There we go. Okay, just a little bit of a hill. Just enough. It kind of feels like a cut. But that with some trees, I think gives us... I like how that's going to separate it. Because now we can't quite view the train curving in on itself. From, I mean, obviously we can if we look above. But if we're looking at it from track level, it's not going to do that, which I like. So yeah, trees in here are going to feel nice. And there's a million different ways you could do this. You could put a steel mill here if you really want the steel feel. Or some kind of big mill. I want to have another place where it feels like we're in between locations. The goal here, because things are so open, is how do we separate scenes? Mohican, Wilmort, Conowesson. Okay. Conowesson. Pencaster, Pennsylvania. Not quite. Nice, but good try, K-Pen. Fort Oak. Okay, Fort Oak. You guys are coming up with some good ideas. And Wilmort. Alrighty, let's get some more trees through here. Yeah, some nice big old deciduous trees. And I'm not going to want Sosnas, but I will want the Clan. Yeah, Clan. We might even put some on the end. Oh, and I've got a river to do here. Maybe do I do a river? I don't know. I could, and it would look nice, but we are going to do a river scene over here. Yeah, but there's a lot of river scenes. We'll do another one here. Okay, so I'm going to need to make sure my track is locked in at 0%. Or 0%. Well, 0% grade. That's kind of right. Me and my fried brain. Yeah, one of you guys, I think it was John Overman, said, "Is Nick okay?" And this was before I went live. So I didn't realize that you couldn't hear me. But I said, Nick has a lot going on, but overall Nick is, in fact, okay. Oh, yeah. I'll need to finesse that later. But we'll get the main location of the bridge in place. I kind of want to have the water curve and Kyle trail off here so that it's obscured by the buildings. We're going to kind of tree it in. Is what we're going to do. For a bridge texture, we're going to use... I'm going to grab it from here, just so I don't have to search endlessly for it. Nice stone bridge. The original uses a girder. And you know what? Given that is visible through my fascia, maybe I won't use a stone bridge there. There are a lot of stone bridges on the Pennsy, but don't worry, we're going to have one later. Where is my girder bridge? That's the one I was just using. There it is. That's the girder. Here we go. we're going to put a girder bridge here. I'm kind of kit bashing my own girder just because otherwise it's a little hard to find. So we're going to cheat a little bit and make it a curve. Although maybe I won't need to. We'll just have our two straight pieces there, kind of informing the curve. And then I'm going to move it out, and I'm going to split it. Yeah, I'm probably going to have to do some finessing of the bottom of that bridge eventually, but for now... I can't remove it. Right, of course, I can't remove an end vertex. We'll just do it like so. There is our girder bridge. So we get a little bit of variety between having... Oh, I want to delete that spline point too. Our stone bridges and our girder bridges. Because yay for having a little bit of variety in that regards. So to the earlier comment about East Broad Top, as you guys probably know, I'm Pennsylvania native, originally from a small town in the northwest called Meadville, but many fond memories as a wee lad going to Altoona and that region and just loving rail fanning in central PA. EBT came later in my life. That was my wife gifted me with a trip to the Station Inn in Crescent. Highly recommend you check it out. And I'm not just saying that because I did video commercials for them, though it's true that I did. Alex and Leah are very nice people, great owners, and they have a good team there. Station Inn's a phenomenal place to stay. But it was a visit there under the previous ownership, Tom, that I was introduced to the East Broad Top, and that led me on some really fascinating life adventures, and my relationship to the EBT definitely changed the course of my life. Yeah, to an extent. I mean, it definitely influenced my thinking and led to me going into Streamliner Media. Oh, Alex Beck, thank you for the super chat. Have a tenor. Been a hot minute since we last spoke, Nick. Good to see you doing well. Well, thank you, Alex. Good to hear from you, and thank you for the support. It has been a minute. Chris Scott, okay, am confused. What kind of river can you design or come up with? We're going to have the river appear here, and it's going to kind of tuck behind this ridge that I'm creating. It might be visible from here, but the key is that the river's really only going to be visible from here and maybe here, and that's going to be about it. That's the kind of experimenting that we're doing. Because even though this is a track plan that has been brought to real life, we're taking some liberties. We're trying some different things with it. And I like that. I was saying earlier, before you guys were, before I knew I was not live and then went live. What I really love about doing these Trainz builds is that it is really nice to do these art projects for myself where I'm just playing and experimenting. And then getting to share that with you guys. But a lot of my work through Streamliner Media, I enjoy it. I love it. I am not complaining about what I get to do for a living at all. I'm very fortunate to get to do that. That is work that I create for other people based on their vision, their project specifications. It's good stuff. But as an artist, I think it's important, regardless of what medium you work in, to do work that is just for you. As in, you're not necessarily delivering it to other people's specifications or expectations. You're free to create what you want and just go for it, and not have to worry about the end product. That's the big thing. I love doing video, but a lot of video projects, even ones I enjoy, there's still this sense of I want the end product to look good. I'm building to that. And here, yeah, I want the finished layout to look good, but there's less of a pressure to do so. It's a different part of my creative brain, which I like exercising. I like the freedom that it provides. The sense that there's an undo button, so if I don't really like how something turned out, well, nothing's lost. I could just do it differently. I that is something that I appreciate about these builds. When I started doing these train layouts, I thought that I was building them because I wanted to play with the end product. And I won't say that I never revisit and play with my layouts. I certainly do, but I came to recognize after about the fifth layout that maybe I wasn't building it just for the end product. Maybe I actually really liked the process of building them, which led to the live streams that I do, because I like sharing this process, and you guys seem to like to be part of it and contributing your town names and see what we do. I love what this affords me and how this fits into the artistic landscape of my life. I think that it's good to have those reprieves. So I am liking how this looks a lot. Like this to me, I mean, it's Pennsy, but it's a different feel than what we're going to see elsewhere on the layout. I am liking this a lot. This makes me happy. So, that base. What do I want to do about that base? No trouble. If I may, I think I need a kind of base item. Again, no trouble. If you didn't like that joke the first time, I'm sure it can make another appearance. I appreciate how much you guys stick around, even despite my need to get in terrible puns. Nope, that doesn't look good. I need to skim through these and see where because I know that there are kind of flat bottoms. That's grass, no. Maybe I need to put a road or something in there. Nope, not that. There we go, that'll work. Not perfect, but it'll do. So, I will say, I was reading your chats while you were waiting for me to go live. I saw you mentioned that you're into hot air ballooning. I love the conversation that you guys were having about your other hobbies outside of railroading. The fact that you do inline skating, Jimmy, is awesome. Makes me wonder what it'd be like to inline skate the Abingdon branch, which has a notoriously steep 3% grade. There's a service that offers bikes, and they'll take you up to the top of White Top, and then you can just ride all the way down on your bike. Sounds like a good way to experience the Abingdon branch for me. We've got our bridge, we've got our trees, which we might flesh out a little bit more, but I am mindful that I think I've got an hour left to build the rest of this, and that's what we're going to do. 2026 Productions, you implore me to deploy a strategic rubber ducky somewhere in the water feature. It is crucial for the Pennsylvania. Well, that depends. Has somebody made a rubber duck for Trainz? I'm not sure. If there's a rubber duck Trainz asset, nah, I'm not seeing any rubber ducks for Trainz. Sorry. Somebody wants to whip up a 3D model of a rubber duck and send it to me, sure. We'll find a way to get it in there. But I'm not putting in one of those giant inflatable ones. I know what you're talking about. I'll put in a little one if you can find me a 3D model of it. Okay, we've got the trees here. We'll leave that for the moment. We might refine it later if we've got the time. I need a platform. And I'm going to do a parking lot because, to me, a lot of times with stations, the parking lot gets compromised, but the parking lot is such a big part of the station itself. Ooh, that's a nice platform. I don't think it's going to work for this. It's a little too wide. Although, nah, I think it's a bit too wide. Ooh, yes, this sweet platform. That is old school Pennsy. That is old school, period. I dig it. So we're going to do our nice platform. Because the theme of this build, we've got our sponsor, Broadway Limited Imports, which probably should talk about them in a little bit. Actually, once we're done with this station, we'll have a look at some of what they've got on offer. But this layout, to me, centers around passenger stuff. There's the mine. We are going to use the mine. We're going to play with the mine. But I still feel like the heart of the layout is the passenger operations. That's going to be all parking lot. We could probably put some other buildings, but a freight shed isn't going to make sense because we don't have a spur to it. Jimmy, skating the Avenue depends on how much of the Avenue is paved. Either that or you get a hold of a pair of the off-road skates, which could be an adventure unto itself. That's a good question. I haven't actually been on the Avenue branch yet, despite it not being too far away. Someday. So what do I want to do now? The city, I guess I could do some texturing because the city's largely done. I do like that. Let's do texturing, sure, why not? So we're going to do our base level of grass and kind of put things on top of it. Grass. Let's look at this corner here. So this corner in the actual layout doesn't it's kind of a pond type of thing, or more of the river. So I guess we're kind of insinuating that the river goes here, we're following a bit of it through here, and then it's going to cross over again there. Yeah, I could dig that. I could dig that. We'll get that height, because I like this height that we've got for the river here. And yeah, and then we'll just apply that here. Because I do think that's... I don't know. Do I want a river? Do I want a hill? Maybe I want a hill with some more trees. But then it makes it hard to reach in when you're doing switching. Yeah. And I say this and you're thinking, but Nick, you don't have to reach in. This is a digital train layout. I know that. But it's really about... It's about the principle of the matter. I do tend to like to build my train layouts in ways that, yes, in here we could reach, I could do switching here, no problem. But if somebody were to build, or in this case, rebuild this, what does that, does it actually work as an HO scale layout functionally in all of the ways you would want it to? So yes, we'll have a nice little river scene here too. And that's going to be some spline action, isn't that? But I'll take care of that after the texturing. Okay, now that we filled that corner, yeah, we should get to look at our background drops. I wish I had one with, like, mountains. So I've got hills. Oh, wrong layer. I've got some hills like this, but I think this is too flat. That's too kind of... That's more like Harrisburg. We're a little west of Harrisburg. I do have some city ones. I kind of like that one. Although it does cast a sick shadow, which is going to cause issues later. Not quite the right mountains either. That's more western. Oh, that backdrop. Yeah, I used that on the NW. Nope. Not quite the right area of the country for that. Yeah, let's look at these ones. Yeah, that might be the way to do it. The 7 with the no sky, no shadow. Let's take a look at that. When we put it into the landscape, and we pull it down and we look at it. And this is something which is relatively easy to do with your own backdrop. So if you were using Trainz to make a layout, I like that. If you're using Trainz to make a layout, making your own backdrops, like taking your own images, putting it into the sim to make sure you actually like how it looks, is not that hard. But of course, if you would like the easy way of having your track plan pre-visualized in Trainz, I do take commissions, and I'd be happy to work with you. You can see my work on greattrainlayouts.com, as well as these live streams, of course. And I'd be happy to help you bring your vision to reality. We actually have a commission coming up in a couple of weeks. That's going to be one of these builds. Bethany Ozarek says she likes the rubber duck idea. Hey, I'm all for the rubber duck. Oh, I thought that was her. That's my cat. I'm all for the rubber duck idea, Bethany. But there needs to be a rubber duck asset for the sim. Okay, now I'm starting to feel like we are in the mountains of Pennsylvania. I also like how the mountains get kind of bigger as we go over that way. There's a little bit more of a sense of valley here. That's a nice, happy accident. Double YouTube fan 5. Do you have a tutorial on how to do this in Trainz? Not really, no. And not a, like, here's, you do this and this and this. I mean, I think if you watch enough of my live streams, you can probably see certain methodology to what I do. But I've never actually put together a video of, I would do this, and then I would do this, and I would do this. And I don't think I will, just because that's a lot of work, and it not work that I would particularly enjoy. The live streams are a fun thing I get to do for fun. I try to avoid... I do still occasionally do video projects for fun, like the Odd at the Rail Yard episode, but something like a tutorial is more structured. Probably not going to happen. Just keep watching the live streams and hopefully you pick up some good ideas along the way. Well, I think now is a good time to kind of, we've got this town, and part of what is great about this track plan is the ability to fit in these nice wide turns. We've got 30s, we've got 32-inch radius curves, which in HO scale is nice. If you made this at Ed scale, you're doubling that, and it's even bigger. But our sponsor for today, Broadway Limited Imports, has some new products that I'd like to show you. They've got a bunch of new heavyweight cars that they are releasing. And we're going to play with some models that tie in with these. But the big announcements that they've made recently, they've got the American Freedom Train as a 5-car set, the 1947 version. But honestly, if you wanted to put these cars behind your 76 Daylight or Reading T1, they're going to look nice. They've got separately applied details. And as you can see with this car, and we'll see some photos in a moment, they're doing a whole line of display cars. And we've seen heavyweight cars come on the market before, but usually just as coaches or observation cars. Nobody's done display cars before as like an easy, ready-to-run option, which I think is great. So we've got the Freedom Train. I love this. I love that Broadway is making a Pullman observation with the balloon roof. Because, again, historically with ready-to-run heavyweight cars, all we've had are the clear story ones, where you've got the clear story and then it comes over. And there are cars that I want to model that are balloon roof cars that there hasn't been an easy to go to option before now, but they've got this whole line of balloon cars. This is one that I picked out as one that I like, the Ferdinand Magellan that was used by presidents. If I'm not mistaken, this car is actually I know this car is preserved. I'm trying to think if I've seen this one in person or not. But point is, this is a car that, regardless of what North American, well, probably U.S. railroad you model, because it was used by presidents and dignitaries, you could just tack this on the rear of your passenger train and it's going to fit in. Or if you want to kit bash it into something else, you've got, that has a clear story roof, because I need a heavyweight observation for my Rocky Mountain Express CP 2016 train set. So this is a good starting point for something like that. They're doing MOW cars like this Combine here. And then these are their new, they recently announced these exhibit cars. So they're not specific to each road that had a car, but they're based on schemes that existed, and they're an easy, ready to run option. And for me, I'll admit, like, there's times when I want the specific model and the specific thing, but there's plenty of times where if I could get a placeholder model that just has the right look and feel, especially if it's ready to run, this is a good option. Like, I'm looking at that NS exhibit car. Like, if I did modern NS, that would totally be my thing. And I will say, on the heavyweight front, I'm definitely getting their. This is one of the train sets. They're doing the Chassis Steam Express. That's going to be making an appearance on the stream in a little bit. We're going to play with the Chassis Steam Express. Even though it's chassis and we're building Pennsy, we're going to be playing with these cars in digital form in a bit. So this is a 5-car set you can get. And then here's the American Freedom Train as a 5-car set. We're also going to have a little fun with that toward the end of the stream. I'm actually going to be getting one of the HO Strasbourg number 10 heavyweight cars. Gonna put it with my Paradise Car and Loco Strasbourg coaches. That's gonna make a nice set. So thanks to Broadway for sponsoring this. Go check out their heavyweight cars. They've got a bunch of different railroads, some that they've already released and might already be in stores, as well as these ones that they've announced that you could go ahead and pre-order from them or from your favorite hobby shop. And those cars, they navigate 18-inch curves, so as long as you have an 18-inch radius in HO, they'll work, but they're going to look gorgeous if you've got nice soft curves like we have here, which is what I like about this plan. Ground texturing. Let us do splines. We'll do river splines. So I'm going to do some river. I'm going to do river from here and river over there. This one I want to make it maybe a little bit more flowing, so I'm going to do this texture. And I'm going to set it like so, and put it there, so it's flush with that, and then it kind of disappears into there. That, I like that, and then over here, we'll just have it kind of making a cameo appearance along the edge, and get that height, and that's, yep, too low, gonna need to raise it a bit, and there we go, like so. Yep, I'm gonna obviously have to fix the fascia, might not have time for that during the stream today. Goal is to just get everything covered scenery wise. How do I feel about putting some trees through the center of town? Is that the way I want to divide these scenes or no? I kind of like it. Part of me likes it, part of me says I want to, oh, no, I want that. Part of me likes it, but part of me says that's, it is an effective way of blocking off the two views, but I kind of like the fact that we can view across. I think that we might just do some industrial builds. Actually, where's that Alabama freight house? There we go. Nope. There. And we're just going to turn it from a 2-story structure that's too tall, and we're going to lower it and make it a single-story structure, because it's kind of a backdrop structure. This is what I call digital kit bashing, and actually that looks really good. I'm surprised that worked as well as it did. So we're going to reduce the height. Like so. Yeah, I really like that. Yeah. I mean, technically I probably need more room for the trucks to go behind here, so maybe I'll bring those a little bit further behind the actual buildings. And yes, I know they're super close, but the whole point is that you can't view the layout this way because there's a wall. And you shouldn't be able to really scrutinize it this way because we're going to have a forest. So the ways in which it kind of betrays itself shouldn't be evident because we don't have the ability to view it from that way. Oh, I need more trees. I need some Yazans. Or, some cusp. Where's my... I mean, I could spend a lot of time on just this scene alone. I don't want to get too lost in it, because there's a lot more to build. Not a lot more, but there's still some more. Where are my Yasms? I should just search Yasm. This would be faster. There we go. But if we block the view of how you can see those two are close together, then it's almost like they're not. And there we go. That is the placement of the trees. And I should probably place them here to make them a little blendier. You could place a couple more of those CDN houses, because I think that will help to kind of continue the feeling of that this continues beyond what we can see, like so. Yeah, that I like. I do like that. I do feel like there needs to be a building here. Just some kind of shop. Maybe. There's just, I don't know if I want to have all of this be open and parking lots. That feels maybe a bit too big. Oh, kitty cameo. Say hi, Luca. Oh. He thinks I'm going to hold him. I'll hold him for a minute and look at your comments. Good evening, Millennial Modeler. Glad you could join us. Michael Soraka, 1980. Is this your favorite train game to play? One of them. Did I just see Western Maryland? EKM. Yes, you did see a Western Maryland display card for Broadway Limited. And John Overman, you're a Southern Railway fan, so you dig the Southern exhibit car and the chassis. Yeah, those. I think the exhibit cars are a neat offering that Broadway Limited has. Oh, my baby. He's a good boy. This is Luca. We like Luca. Luca's a good boy. He's 8 years old, but I call him my little baby. He's a little runt of a thing. He's a sweet boy. I don't know if I could quite... Yeah, you could kind of see his face there. He likes when I hold him. He is such a sweet guy. I need to keep building though, buddy. I know. You're really coming to because you want to be fed. You're going to have to wait a little bit for that, buddy. Hey, Jackson. You could even clutter the routes of the block behind the station or use some billboards. Yeah, good idea. But I might have to save that for another day because I want to make sure we get all the scenery covered, and then I might have to polish it off stream. Soraka, you like open rails and Trainz and World, both good games. I'll admit I spend most of my days in Trainz, although I had a Montana Rail Link binge that I went on thanks to the special issue that Trainz Mag ran recently, so I ended up getting the open rails Mullen Pass route and spent a bunch of hours in that. My cat wants a cat reference. You want to be referenced on the layout, Luca? We could probably dig up a cat model. I don't know if it'll look like him. More of the rubber duck. Look, I will put a rubber duck on this layout if you guys can find me a rubber duck, but that is the deal. You gotta find me. Feel free to send it to me off stream, but you gotta send me a rubber duck. I just came across this shop, this building, and I just thought to myself, what if this building was here, and we had a spur that was coming off the main line that looked like it was there once upon a time, but then disconnected? Maybe that's a thing that would be kind of fun. Because you do start to have decrepit wood buildings. I don't know. Not quite the vibe. Cute idea, though. Not that. Bellevue Locomotive. Bayshore. Brick Workshop. Yeah, I think that might be it. Turn the doors the other way around. Oh, I guess they're on both sides. Yeah, I like that. I think that's the way I want to go with that. Let's do some texturing. let's get that going. PRR grass. Because I still gotta do the mine. But there's not as much over on the other side. This is definitely the most scenically dense part of what we're doing. So we're gonna... Nah, it should be a darker green. Very lush green in this part of the country. Not that pretty, though. We'll try that. So we've got this grass base. I'll just use to apply to pretty much the whole thing over here. And we're going to do some using of other grass textures just to give it a little bit of dimension for the parts where you see just grass. Just so it's not all completely uniform. And another one like so. Like here. These are all pretty good. Actually, I should bookmark them just so I don't forget which ones I'm using. Now we need our ballast, which is going to be RTXT Gray 2. To match with the track. Like so. Just going along and painting it in. One of the more kind of relaxing elements of the build. Sometimes I want the really intense, like, okay, I'm building this, and I'm thinking hard about this, and sometimes it's like, what's easy? What can I just do because I know it needs to be done? I definitely felt that when I was building the Wiz Beach and Upwell, the full-size layout for Trainz. Sometimes I wanted to work on something challenging. Sometimes it's like, just let me paint a bunch of fields. I don't want anything super hard. PBR City Dirt is the other one I probably want to use a bunch of. So in places like here, here, and here, more green variety of things. Although this is actually going to be parking lots, we're going to need to go too intense on it. And then some actual dirt for the city. Some of this kind of stuff, definitely around the buildings, along the streets. We're going to need sidewalks and that, but focusing on what we feel we could get done within a reasonable stretch of time for the build. My goal, oh, definitely don't want to do that. My goal for tonight is that we're going to play with it, and we're going to just be able to kind of get the broad strokes of what works and what doesn't work with this play, with enough scenery that you can kind of tell with what we're doing. So maybe a little less visual polish. That's the risk that I run with these larger builds. But I really wanted to do this one with you guys. So again, if you like it, great. If you don't, don't be afraid to speak up and let me know. This isn't my kind of thing as far as your live streams are concerned, because there's sometimes I'll do a project just because I really want to do it. But I do like having your company, and so knowing that something is kind of, knowing what entertains you the most and what you learn from is beneficial to me and to helping me make something that you enjoy. Gub15C might have some Pennsy Stevers from KNL. Yes, there will. Well, there's going to be some Pennsy power. Maybe it is some Pennsy Steam. There's going to be some Stevers, but not just Pennsy ones. We're going to run a little bit of everything tonight, just to kind of show the idea of, like, because I think this is a showcase layout. And if you're like me, you're one of these people that you have your main passion of, I like this train and I like this railroad, but you also probably have some other things that don't fit in. Like, oh, but I also like this railroad, I like this, I just want to put it in. And this is a layout kind of designed to accommodate a few different passions and a few different, I want to do this, now I want to do that kind of thing. So, I like that a lot. And it's simple. Like, it's not crowded, but I don't think it has to be. I could go crazy on the detailing of this city. I don't think I will. Certainly not tonight, but probably not even before the release. But you'll get the broad strokes. So this is the kind of thing that you can build off on your own. 2. We need a signal box for... We need a couple of signal boxes. We should also put a section shed here, because this just feels... we should have a section shed here. Feels like a place for it. I also think we need some sort of... put it there. Yeah, like so. Or maybe off to the side here, like that. Here we should probably put some forest. Again, just kind of a loose approximation of what I'll likely do more of in the future. But we're gonna have these, we'll have some backyards, and then we'll just have some trees, because I think, I gotta lock that into a separate layer so I'm not constantly messing with it. But I think that doing this helps to kind of divide the scene so it doesn't become too spaghetti bowl when you're looking at all this mess of track. Probably put this on a hill a bit. Oh, not like that. Like that. Yeah, like that. Just to make it feel like we're looking into the scene. Like so. It kind of plays along nicely with the way that river cuts back there too. So let us now look at this scene. And this scene, there's a bit more as far as buildings here than I think what I want to do. But we're still going to have some. Cantilever. Oh, we should totally do that as a thing. We're going to want some signals. Probably here. Coming into this junction. Just to have them. I don't know if I'll end up placing them tonight, but that just is an indicator of, hey, signals are going to go there. We've got our bridge scene I got to remember about there. Let's see what else I've got. Bookmarked. I bookmark parts in Trainz just because it's great, really handy to remind myself. Here's what I've got. We're going to put a Pennsy position light here, just coming off the branch, just because I like these things. Obviously, it'll all be position lights, but that's the one on the stand. These are the... Oh, wait. Where did I thought I had the bridge ones. Where did I not get myself position lights that are on the bridge? Signal 4. I know I had some position lights for the bridge. There's dwarfs. PRR bridge. Let's try that. There we are. Yeah. That is what says we are in Pennsylvania Railroad territory. Sometimes railroads are defined by their signals, and I look at that, and that is very much we are in Pennsylvania Railroad territory. It's kind of tucked out of the way, but it logically makes sense that you would have a signal before this control point. You'd also technically have them over here, but I'm more concerned about having them controlling here. The thing with the signals on this layout, I wouldn't use them as like actual indications. I use them as scenery. The time and a place where you want the specifics, and other time like the signals to actually function, and times when they're really just decoration. Hi, Strasburg fan. Mahoning. There is a real Mahoning. I'm trying to use fictional names. So if you come up with a fictional name for the town, for the city, then I will name the station that. I should probably do that soon. Here's our signal bridge, looking nice and big and meaty. So we're going to have one there, and then we're going to have one here to bracket the scene. And look, I mean, arguably, I almost only want one, because I feel like 2 is maybe a little too intense for the scene. Obviously, in real life, you'd have 2, but I don't know if I really want one here. I'm feeling like maybe this just needs to be open. I don't know. I'm going to kind of wing it. This is, again, we're using signals as decoration here, not as prototypical. They need to go here and actually serve a specific function. So, I'm going to have think we'll have two facing this way and then two facing that way, because it's kind of emulating the idea that really this 4-track main, it can be treated like a 4-track main, but it's actually just a 2-track main that's kind of doubling over on itself. And so I'm going to move those heads in like so. I will say, for those of you who are supporting the live streams and the podcast on Patreon, I appreciate that. There's a link in the description of this live stream where you can go for as little as $1 a month. You're getting early access to these layouts. And actually, I uploaded one this past month, and you'll have to go over there and see what it is, and then support me and get early access to it. And I also put up the Reading and Northern layout on greattrainlayouts.com. Did I put up another one? Maybe I put up 2. I forget how far ahead I got on things. If we go to greattrainlayouts.com, yes, the Reading Northern layout was the one I put up there. Yeah, I like how that looks. And then we're going to have ourselves a nice big signal tower, which is that one. And we're going to put it here, right at the center of the junction. And it's going to look big and cool. Do I want to put MG there? Do I have MG? MG Tower. I have a modern version of MG Tower where it's boarded up, but that's maybe not the most attractive. Well, let's see what else we could do. Is there maybe another version of MG Tower I can grab from the download station? Oddly, no. Would have thought that there'd be one. Well, never mind then. We'll just leave it as this. But this is still pretty good looking. I like this big... oh, I should replace all the switch stands while I'm thinking of it. Got these default switch stands that look like, well, default switch stands. We're going to replace them with... not that. We're going to replace them with... not that. Here we go. So replacing the default switch lever with pneumatics. And then some of them will need to be switched back to manuals, but this gets us up and running. We've got nice pneumatic switch stands for the control points. They look cool. They look automatic. So, and then probably just a lot of bushes for this, I think, is what I'm going to want to do there. But should I do the river next? Let's see. John Rube. This track plan is based off of, I will bring it up since it's been a while since I started the stream, the Pennsylvania Railroad Middle Division layout by Dave Frary, as written about in Model Railroader and covered in this book here. It is a plan which I liked but had issues with, and so I am building upon it anew, a bigger, a little bit more operations. So that's what we're doing tonight. So we're going to lower the train down here because there's a bridge scene here that I want to keep because it's a stone bridge. And if you've ever been along the Pennsy main line, then you know that the Pennsy main line is full of stone bridges. And admittedly, this was one that I placed earlier. Oh, I have to do that for the spline, of course. Spline. Oh, but I have... that's what I gotta do. Why is my track sinking? Oh, because I need to... Yep, there we are. Now the track isn't sinking. And then when I go into the splines and I put a height of, I think, maybe 0 will do the trick. Yep, there we are. We've got our stone bridge looking nice and meaty and stony. Note I'm avoiding an obvious word choice there. That is deliberate. We're gonna try to... I want to make those arches a little bit more apparent. And the good thing is the bridge is so wide, you can kind of ignore the fact that the river doesn't continue on the other side. In the prototype, it like sort of continues and then fizzles out here. And maybe I'll do a little bit of that, but I don't want to get into complex Trainz-y geometry with how to make that work. Point is, we've got our stone bridge. This is very Pennsy. I mean, you go to the middle division today of, which is NS Pittsburgh district technically, and you're still going to see stone bridges. I mean, these things were built to last, and they most assuredly have stood the test of time. They are very, like, this is Pennsy. You live near the Sleepy K4. You live near Reading's Newtown branch, so you don't get the Pennsy thing I just said. I'm not sure which Pennsy thing I just said. You'll have to fill me in. Chris Scott, will my next New York track layout be in New York Central, or did somebody already come up with that? Probably not. I am eyeing New York Central track plans, but not the ones you would think. I'm certainly open to doing a New York Central plan as a commission, but I don't have any planned right now. I think probably not in the near future. We'll see. Okay, we've got our signal bridge. We've got our... I mean, this looks so good that honestly, we can put... If we put modern Norfolk Southern power on this, which I have somewhere, I think. Yeah, there we go. Okay, we put some Norfolk Southern power on it, or even some Conrail power. I mean, that looks right. And I think that's something I hadn't even thought going into this plan. There are differences of how you're going to do the scenery, but honestly, those position lights lasted well into NS. So you could do NS with position lights. You might just close down the station, but even there, you have Amtrak. So I'm looking at this and I'm realizing, like, this is a track plan that's very era-proof. Because you could do this and have it, I mean, other than maybe switching out the cars on the street, work from anywhere between 1940 and 2010. Before NS got really big into replacing their signals. So, I hadn't even thought of that going in, but man, that is one reason I will say that the middle division is a great modeling subject. So, what now? I do want to do the... Okay, we've got 25 minutes before I want to start playing with the thing. And I need to do ground textures, and I need to do the farm. So I'm going to do ground textures here. Do I want to put something else here? There was a building... There were a couple building recommendations, but honestly, I don't know if I want any more buildings. I think I want this to be kind of generic. Because if you're running your train in circles, and you have distinct landmarks, like over here, you're running your train in circles, you're going to be like, wow, my train passed by that station 5 times. I like having scenes that don't make you think about the fact that you're watching the train pass the same location every time. Yes, this has a signal tower, but you encounter all sorts of signal towers on the along the Pennsy. So this has that feel of like, I could just watch trains go here, and it doesn't feel repetitive. So we're going to keep it open. I'm going to put some brush along the along that ridge, but I don't think I want to really do anything more than that. I'm going to do my mixture texturings. We're going to go a bit of green in there. But this is a rewarding one. What do you guys think of the plan? I don't know if I've put that question out to you guys yet. What do you actually think of the track plan? Do you think that it's... I mean, obviously we'll get to testing in a bit. But do you think it's... how does it feel in terms of the look? What are you liking about it? What's it making you think about? For me, that realization of like the eras, how you could You can pull a Taylor Swift and do an Eras tour. Ha! I like that element of it, and I bet you didn't foresee that I could somehow manage to tie Taylor Swift in with this layout, but here we are. That's what you get when you're dealing with a rail fan that's also a Swiftie. Get a little bit of your 1989 Conrail 1989, a little bit of your trying to think of the other albums. Reputation, that Pennsy Reputation, that Conrail 1989, that Norfolk Southern Color. Oh, I don't know what to make that I just was able to do that, but I'm glad that I just did that, and I'm even more glad that you guys were here to take witness in that. That was truly a live stream worthy moment, and you were here for it, and I thank you for being here for it. And with all due sincerity, I love having you guys along for the ride. It means a lot to me that I get comments from people who are like, oh, I enjoy your live streams, I like the builds. Because at the end of the day, yes, I hope you're learning something from the builds, but you clearly don't hate my guts or find me annoying enough that I'm not worth your while. So I appreciate your time. I appreciate you joining me and having some fun, some what can we do? What can we how can we have some fun? How can we play around with this? How can we discover something new? And this is such a I will say, Dave did a really nice job on the modeling. If you do end up getting a copy of the book, which you can find through, eBay and the like, he did a really good job of the modeling. And that's what attracted me to it. As I looked at it, like, there's something to this layout. And I think it is a case where a layout works because of its presentation. Because I think there's some layouts that operate great as plyboard expresses, but it's also true that they're plyboard expresses, so you don't exactly have a lot of scenery to them. But here's a layout where, admittedly, in its original state, I don't think it... I mean, it plays great from a standpoint of, yeah, you can watch trains go around, and it's pretty, and it's fun. But I don't think it plays in terms of, I feel like I'm doing something. I don't feel like I'm replicating the movement of commerce. And I'm hoping that through this build, pretty confident that through this build, we're getting that piece of it. That we're getting that sense of, oh, the railroad is serving a function. And we're, as well as the sort of display case element. I mean, again, why I chose this as a build to go with part of the Build It with Broadway series and have Broadway sponsor this is because it lends itself well to just, I have a bunch of pretty trains that I just want to watch go around. But if I want to do something, switching operations once in a while, I can do that. Let's see. Ooh. I mean, now I'm thinking, geez, if I'd thought of this earlier, I might have done it in the fall. But then I'd need a fall backdrop, so... another layout could be fall. Another one. This one's pretty much going to be summer. Just partially for ease of building. Because I'll be honest, I told you guys, I've gotten kind of behind on releasing the train layouts. Which reminds me, I should also put out the call. If you want to see more train layouts come out on a more regular basis. Because obviously, I have layouts from a year ago that I haven't yet released publicly. And that's just due to not having a lot of time to go in, finish them off, and then get them ready for release by putting descriptions and so forth. If you would like to help with that, then I can get you early access to those layouts, and all you'd have to do is type up a description based on the operations, get some screenshots, make sure it works and is ready for release. So if that's something that you can help out with, reach out to me through greattrainlayouts.com, and I'd appreciate the help. because these days I try to get more of the layouts done on stream so that if I'm not motivated to work on them after the stream, then it's okay because there's less that has to be done. This one I can tell I'm going to have more to do off stream, and I'll be honest, it's going to make it longer before I release it just because I'm going to have to wake up one day and just randomly be in the mood to finish the scenery details on it. And it happens, but it's a lot easier if it's like, oh, that route's done. All I have to do is just package it up and it's good to go. But here we are. Oh, that looks good. I need something here, though. Does need something here. What does it need? Does it just need some bushes? Maybe a little bit of hill so that we feel like we're in a valley. Yeah, maybe just that. Just to feel like we're looking into the basin kind of thing. I do like that as a look. And then then we've got some, and are those, yeah, those are appearing at the front, so I can't use those ones. I'll need some earths, I think. Tree side, there we are, like that. Yeah, and actually that's a way I can improve those bushes a little bit. Yeah, that looks good. Maybe a little bit of a different car, PRR gravel, so that there'd be a parked car next to the tower. Something like that, maybe. Actually, that's a good river stone. I should put that near my my rivers here. Just align that. Yeah, that looks good. There, and definitely around here, and also here. I actually have to put the water in there too. Which is going to be this texture here. That goes there to there. And we'll adjust the height so it's not doing weird things on the edges. Oh, it's a little too narrow. Interesting. And we'll plan B, just put it like so. And I'll lower it so it looks like this. And get the height. And like so. There we go. Some polish to be done later, but there we go. Water under the bridge. Literally. Water under the bridge. MOW buildings. Yeah, you know, that's... that might be another... We could put another small shed, like, here. I agree. Just a little something. Especially... Well, I don't want to do there. I kind of want to keep that feeling like we're going into the mountains. But yeah, I think that'll do the trick. I'll have to refine that later, but I'll let that go down a little bit to try to get it to sink into the fascia. I'll refine that later. I am liking how that is looking a lot. Obviously, plenty of polish to be done, but we're trying to get the broad strokes done tonight, so you can look at it and be like, I get what this is about. That is our main priority tonight. It's just you look at it and you go, okay, I get what this is about. Yep. Because actually, you know, it's funny. I kind of want to obscure this junction, you know, like, but it's got so many tracks. Isn't that cool? It's bordering on too many. I don't want it to look too... I mean, yes, there are places that have this many tracks in real life on the division, but... not the vibe I'm going for. Let's get that, and we'll clean that up a little bit. I don't want to get into all that. That's going to take a lot more. Maybe some PBR dirt, just to smooth it a little bit. But I don't want to get into that a ton, because I feel like that's going to get kind of complicated quickly. Oh, PBR asphalt. That I can do. Hey, that one, Trainz guy. Glad you could join us tonight. And then we'll do that, like there. And do a little bit on both sides, because you pretty much have the asphalt all the way up through the platform, like so. There we are. There, that's looking already better. What is this? Looks cool. This is the Pennsy Middle Division by Dave Frary. This is a... I'm going to need to move that. Switch stand. This is an HO scale 11 by 16 plan from a model railroader, series on model railroader that we're adapting for Trainz to give it new life and to explore what we can do operations-wise with it. Okay, I've got 12 minutes to make a farm and to make a mine. I can do that. I want to start with a mine, because that's the thing that's going to go more quickly. Mine. We place it in. I'm going to put the tipple toward the loco end. Get the tracks lined up like so. And then lower it into place. And I'm going to need to change my track spacing a wee bit because of how the mine's structured, but that's okay. We've got the mine in place. We'll take tracks. I'm just going to connect there to there, and there to there. Straighten that out. And here gets connected to there, and there gets connected to there. But we're going to bring that in a little closer, which will do a little bit of funky geometry there, but that's okay. There's our mine. That was easy. Not too much to that. Yes, we could put more... Oh, that's fine. I'll put a powerhouse. But we don't really need a lot there. Probably just some trees. Don't want it to be complicated. Huh. I actually really like this building. I'm going to need to use it for another project. I'm going to bookmark that. Funny when you find one thing for one project and then it's like, oh, that would actually be really good over here. Sort of like when you've lost something in your house and then you lose something else, but you found the first thing that you were looking for, but not when you actually need it. Yeah, maybe this. Yeah, I dig that. Maybe not quite the right aesthetic, but I kind of dig it anyway. Although I have to rotate it. Kind of a weird structure the way they built it, but it'll work. That's our powerhouse. It's maybe a little too ornate though. I can't get over that. That's way too big. I'll tell you what though. You know, when we were talking earlier about, oh, I could put an industry in here. Not going to do it now, and I don't think I would have wanted to. But that is a direction we could have gone. It's just putting something big like a powerhouse on that corner. I guess you could call that a power move. I know. I will quit my day job. Okay, so we've got our mine. We've got our support structures. We could do more with it, but I think you get the point. Now let us do the last bit, the farm. I want a farmhouse, and I want a barn. Oop, not that. Let's see what we got. This is a pretty structure. How do I want it to relate to the scene is the question. I love how deep of a scene we have here. Arguably too deep when it comes to the question of being able to reach for things. Hence why I always advocate for, even if you're going to pre-design in Trainz, it's good to do a track plan through another software like AnyRail, or just drawing it out, do a scale drawing, so that you make sure it actually can work physically. Because in Trainz, we don't have to worry about whether or not we can reach in, but we do in the real world. So I'm going to leave that. I'm going to get the barn, and I'm going to use that to move those around and figure out where I want them. Barnum's Bakery. Cute. That's a big barn, but I like its style. I could see using something like that. Especially if I kind of mesh it in the background. Doesn't feel as big that way. Question is, do I like the buildings in the background? I kind of do. I think it creates more of a sense of distance. Because I feel like if I put the buildings in the foreground, I mean, ignoring that this is sort of a weird look, like their house is about to fall off a cliff, it also just doesn't give us much sense of depth. Maybe I still need a building here, like a shed of some kind, but not the full farmhouse. So I'm going to smooth this out so that it makes sense to, there we go, like that. That works like so. This is an interesting transition point between, we've got these mountains here. I could build them up so it's a little bit more of a ridge, and then you have this valley, which looks great from here. Problem is, you're never going to see the layout from here because there's a wall. And yes, I know you can see it in the sim, but again, trying to keep this in mind as if you were going to build in real life. 88-bit cube. This could make planning layouts a lot easier. Are there others like this? Yep, as that one Trainz guy said, full playlist. Been doing this for a few years now, so lots of live streams you can watch on repeat. And new one coming every month, usually the third Thursday of the month. Next month, the last Thursday of the month, like the 5th. Just because of how my work schedule is. Next month is busy for me. And garden. For garden over here, I don't know. This is what I'm struggling with. How do I want to transition between these two things? Maybe the answer is just using some trees but planting them low. So the idea is that they're a little bit of a, like, essentially just kind of like an edge of bushes type of thing. So you're looking and there's a top to it, but it sinks down a little bit. I want a little bit of like, there's a ridge and then it, because I think what I don't like about it as it is now is the way it kind of plateaus when it comes up. So I think if I put a mixture of trees along the ridge, it's going to kind of make that ridge a little less even. And by doing that, it's going to make it a little bit smoother of a transition between the two. Because I want it to work so it looks like this and it looks good. You look at it from here and it looks good. And you look at it as a complete scene and it doesn't make you go, that feels spatially weird. You have a hard time hearing me? I'll boost my microphone a little bit. Okay. Is that any better? It does look like the level dropped maybe a touch. Let me see what I can do about that. A little bit tricky. I'm still getting used to Windows 11 settings on this front too, so that also makes things a little bit tricky. Volume mixers, settings. That's the input. Oh, no wonder the input got turned way down. Is that? No, it should be. It's showing as higher on my side. Are you guys hearing that any better? Hopefully you are. Golly, Windows 11, not much of an improvement over 10. Oh, I will find a CDP file for duck in Facebook messages. Okay, I might have to go grab that. Evening, folks. Hi, Empire Builder. Starting my job at Model Railroad Store this weekend. Oh, congratulations. Volunteering on 260 by 6 excursions next month. And Brock Payne. Maybe suggest putting a large rock outcropping on top of that where you put the trees and make it less regular. Yeah, maybe a copy of the trees and the outcropping. Or like a mixture. Yes. Let's try that. And I was doing some rocks recently where I'm like, these are nice. The M Ultra rocks are good. What were the ones I was using? Oh, these ones, yes. Which go really well with these huge rock walls. Yeah, I think you're right. That'll... Because then it is it's just a little bit of a ridge to it. So it's not like somebody... One of the children of the farmers is running along the edge and all of a sudden they just fall off into the Pennsy main line below. That does not sound like a good day. And let's move rock 3 so we have a little bit of variation. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that was the way to go about it. I agree. I do like that. It makes it a little bit more deliberate. Yep. Yep, you're right. That is exactly what we needed. The rainbow connection. 88 cube. Have I ever made a model train set in HO? Yes. I have 2 layouts. One is a HO scale recreation of Greenfield Village, which I showed off in a live stream a while back. It's in the playlist. It's actually pretty close to done. So I might show it off in a future live stream. And then I also have an engine terminal. An HO scale engine terminal that I also live streamed. I think that was last January, like a year and a half ago, that I started work on. So I do model in HO. And occasionally other things catch my fancy. Fields and grass and mountains and stuff. Okay. Now I want to get into... I think I want to use more of that city dirt texture. Because I want a kind of grassy rock, and then I'm going to put regular rock on top of that. So this is going to be our base through here. That's all it's going to be that. And then we're going to mix rock and grass and corn and all that kind of stuff to make it a little... have a little bit of variety. And then we'll do the mine separately because that's going to be something else. So right now, this is not a very good field. This would be terrible soil to grow your crops in. But fortunately, it's not the final approach. We're going to kind of vary it with a bit of another texture here. I'm not going to worry too much about the farm because that's going to get a lot of different stuff applied to it here. So I'm not going to focus too much on that, but we'll get this kind of looking that way. And then I am going to go with some rocks along here, just along the edge of where the rocks are here, before I get into some field stuff. Wait, do I not have a tunnel portal for that? I thought I built a tunnel portal for that. Okay, let's build a tunnel portal for that. That seems important. So that's going to be 0. And there we go. And then we just need a little bit of a hiding wall. And that's going to go not like that. Here. Oh, jeez. There we are. Now we have a tunnel portal. Yay. I should probably put some of that rock texture along there too. not the city dirt. Oh, I guess that's technically what they call city dirt. Okay. Now I want PBR Cliff or PBR Rock. Probably PBR Rock. And we're gonna go with something like this, so we can have some ridges, like so. Especially where we're gonna have it a little bit more exposed. And I probably need to reduce that terrain because it's kind of blocked. Or nope, I didn't put a thing there, so I'm gonna fix that. And by thing I mean I didn't put a little tunnel shadow. These tunnel shadows are great ways of like, because it used to be in Trainz if you wanted to have a tunnel, you just had to put a dig hole, but the dig holes are restrictive. So this is a great way of, hey, the track quote-unquote disappears into a tunnel. Brock. One other possibility, a stream coming down from the mountainside past the farmhouse, under the branch line, tumbling down that cliffside, and passing under the main line. Sounds great. It sounds like too much work for the remaining, well, technically I'm going over my time before cutting the playtime. Yes, it's a great idea, and it could work. Yeah, I see how it works, like even through here, but that's gonna take up too much time, unfortunately. Good idea though. I do like it. So PBR field. Let's see how I want to do my fields. Probably a couple, honestly. Like, ooh, I like that. Yep, like just right there. And a little bit more like this. Ooh, that is a fee vein. And let's do one that's got a bit more green to it. And we'll parallel it with the tracks, because that'll, I think, will look nice. Especially because it could be a bit longer. Yeah, that looks so cool. That looks good. Gonna go for maybe even a little bit of field in the backdrop, just to allude to the idea that the fields go beyond, and maybe put them at different angles. So I'll have a little bit of field there, and maybe just a little bit of field over here. Or maybe just a bit more of this. I don't want to get too crazy with too many colors. That looks a bit too odd. It's not quite doing it for me in the same way. Maybe just going all the way up to the edge like that. Honestly, I think that's halfway decent. Okay. Want to add some bushes along the way. Like so. Probably need some grass too. Oh yeah, I know what it needs. And there's just a little thin strip of this stuff. It's going to really kind of create more of an edge to that field, and really also nicely highlight the track up top. And then we're going to put some along the other side, which will be less visible, but we know it's there. It's good to have you guys along for the streams. I always appreciate having a conversation with you. Hopefully it feels like a conversation even when I get a little bit in my process, forget to read your comments. Petition to name the town New York. Nope, sorry. Hey Paula, hello Nick and Jimmy. My first time turning into a live stream. Oh, you've picked a good stream and you've picked a good time. We're just putting our not the finishing touches on the layout as a whole, but we are getting to the part of the show we're gonna play test it to. Ooh, this is nice. This makes me happy, and I might even, just for a little bit of variety, put a little bit of field in the foreground here, just to kind of vary it up. Because you could do, and I know what I want to put there. I know. Although it maybe seems a little odd that you'd have fields. Yeah. I think that's a bit too much. But we'll put some grass here, just to have a little bit of something in the foreground that you can look at as you're looking at the tracks. Yeah. Could see also putting this track on a ridge. Could do it that way. Do I want to do that? I almost do, even though it adds more work. A ridge track would look cool. But I think it'd be too many ridges. I don't want to get too cartoony with the amount of ridges. I'm going to leave it as is. I think I will maybe slope this down a touch just to get the impression that we're looking up, but that'd be about the extent of it. And then I'm going to lower the grass so it kind of looks like it fits right. And like so. And I need to paint a little bit more grass there to get that cleared up there. Ballast. We need to put in ballast. Although we need to also put in our scenery here and some trees. Okay. PRR gravel. I want a kind of rocky, dark thing through this. But I'm going to probably vary it more than just this. With some dirt and maybe bits of the city dirt grass. Because this definitely makes it look like a parking lot. But the key with texturing in Trainz is to just use a bunch of different ones. Because then it doesn't... Then it's not going to look repetitive. It's going to look like your own personalized touch. You'll have your favorite textures. You'll have your favorite sort of look to things. It's all sort of experimenting. That one didn't play nicely. What else do I need? I need some darker rock. PBR rock. Let's see what we got. Maybe here? Not quite that. It's funny how they look dark and then I apply them and they look super light. Crushed stone. Yeah, more so. I don't know if it's quite... Or maybe PBR coal, honestly. That'll be dark enough. Cowl. Coal. There we are. And I think, honestly, a bit heavy on this. Ooh, not that heavy. A bit heavier on this through here. And then maybe some ballast to kind of unify it as a thing. I need some dirt. That PBR dirt. I need some dirt like so. I think I kind of overdid on the splotchiness this time. I'm gonna go a little heavier on that. I don't like the green. And then we'll add some, because we need to add a lot of the main ballast to the whole thing. Jimmy, I'll do my best to add the duck, but yes, do add it to the download station. I think having a little rubber duck is a cute idea. Maybe I can grab that while we start running some trains, and then I'll add it as a last minute thing. So we have almost completed it. The last thing we're going to do is just add some trees to the backdrop here and to the behind the farm scene. And then we're going to call it... It's funny. This is... When I look at the whole thing, it has a very different... It's similar and different to Dave's original track plan. Like, the spirit of it is there, but... It goes to show how you can give two people same track plan, tell them to use the same theme, and go into very different directions with it. Because that to me is the thing of like, there's parts of this where I've tried to emulate what Dave did, and there's parts where it feels like its own thing. And to be clear, I like that. Actually, I don't think we need trees there. I think that the trees kind of make the scale smaller. I like that. being open like so. So we'll have some trees there. Because we do want this to be a very tree-heavy mountain. I think making it bare would be a mistake. And just fill that up with a lot of trees. This is where digital railroading is so much easier than model railroading. Can you imagine how many hours I would have to spend to make all of these trees and make them look nice, even at a distance? There we go. That is what I wanted. And we can refine it a little bit more, put some trees down in the rocks here, like so. Oh, that, and I like this farm scene. That is a nice discovery. I like when we can discover things through what we're doing on these live streams. Who wants to know what's behind the door? What, you're talking this door? The answer is nothing. A cliff. Not much there. Okay, we have, and then I'm going to do IDS Forest. Backdrop for the mine area. Which will probably start here. And we'll run along the whole of the mine set. So it looks like that. That makes me happy. So obviously, look, I will be the first to admit, I've done more detailed stuff than this, but I wanted to get it done in a night, and I did. And you got to see it unfold, and here we are, the PRR Pennsy Middle Division. And so what are my first reactions to it as I'm looking at it as a whole? Yeah, it's amazing how much changing this from a mine and a wood scene to a farm scene changed the feel of it. Because that mountain really was dominating in the scene as a whole. Not in a bad way, just different than what we're doing here. But I think what we gain a lot in terms of operations. And I think what we gain here is just its own kind of unique scene where you could have a lot of fun with the details. I would make the farm buildings N scale to do a forced perspective thing. Someday I might have to do that. I might have to make myself some assets that are like houses and factories and things that are smaller so I could replicate forced perspective in Trainz. But you've got a farm, which maybe you could use with a tree, like a really nice Yazin. Oh, hello, Tucker. Are you going to make a cameo as well? Or are you just going to badger me because you're hungry? Here's cat cameo number 2. This is Mr. Tucker. Tucker had a rough day. He had to go to the vet. He did. He did not like going to the vet. He meowed nonstop for 30 minutes, but he is a good boy. He's 15 years old, or getting close to 15. Can you believe that? He's quite the old man as far as cats go, but he's a sweet boy. We love Tucker. Yeah, one tree. Oh, that's pretty. That makes that, and I'll say even with it being the same, like this is still HO, but it there's a distance there that I'm digging. Bald Mountains are British. Yes, agreed. There's a time and place for them. Just a different one from now. So I love this. There's a lot that we've gained from this. Oh, I should put a crossbuck in there, shouldn't I? I know there's a million things I should do, but not having a cross is gonna bug me. So let's see what I got. I think I even have some nice vintage ones. How's this look? Oh, there's definitely not 3 tracks. And I know it's B&M, but I don't think I have any PRR stuff. I think I have a Wishbone one. Let me see if I have a Wishbone one. Yes. There we go. I don't know if it's true to the Pennsy, but it's old school. It's old school, it's different, I dig it. And then just a regular run-of-the-mill for this. That should be fine here. Although maybe not rusting, but I don't know. This could be like a former branch or something that's older on the side of things. Anyway, I like that we reduced the grade crossings. I think it's good to just have the one, so you can do a proper sequence coming from either way, and you don't have to like be blasting the whistle through all these stops. High carbon bay lines, ET and WNC when. I do actually have a plan based on that, but it's when there's more stock for it. There's a plan that I've seen that I like, that I'd like to replicate. Maybe. Well, but the other trick is I have an ON30 coming up that's not that, and I don't want to saturate you guys with ON30. Much as we all love narrow gauge, there might be a limit. So, maybe eventually. I'll say that. Okay. We built it. Let's play with it. We're going to do a bit of passenger running, and we're going to do a bit of mine running. We're going to start with the passenger stuff. Or maybe with the mine stuff, so we get the mine train going, and then the passenger stuff can run in circles while we do the mine stuff. So, tying in with our theme. Now you're going, Nick, this is a Pennsy layout. You should run Pennsy stuff. And I know I should, but part of the premise of this is, look, let's say I'm a Pennsy modeler, but I also like other things. Like, say, the Chessie Steam Express, or the American Freedom Train, which those things exist, thanks to our sponsor. I think I put it under Freedom Train. Yes. So, we're going to spawn ourselves a cute little 5-car American Freedom Train, which is kind of based off the 47. I mean, I didn't have the exact cars, but is kind of based off the 47. And hey, it's all stuff that you can model with Broadway anyway. And we're also going to do, I didn't make a Chessie Steam Safety Express short version before, so we're going to make one now. We're going to take the whole thing. And good point to illustrate. So this is the full-sized one of the seasons of the Chessie Steam Express with 614. Look at how massive that train is. Now, yes, if we're looking at the top, we can see, man, it curves back on itself. But if we're looking at it from street level, it's actually pretty contained in terms of you're not seeing the same train in the scene twice. And those nice 30-inch radius curves mean the cars don't look like they're super buckling on themselves. So, with that said, I'm going to make a little bit of a shorter version, just because trying to emulate what you could actually do with the Broadway limited cars. So, we're going to take off some of the funkier cars, and we're going to keep it to basically the baggage, some Claire Story coaches, and a caboose, observation car. Which, admittedly, there's this open platform, but, you know, tomato. So we have ourselves, I deleted too many cars. There we go. So we have a shorty Chessie Steam Express, we have a shorty American Freedom Train, and I know, you guys are gonna throw me out the window if I don't do something Pennsy related. So let's get an I-1 mine train ready to go. We'll run the 2 passenger trains on the main continuously, and then we're gonna take our mine train up for a run and have fun with that. And we'll see what we think of the environment we create. Because the 2 passenger trains, we could get them going on separate lines. They won't interfere with each other. So that'll be good in that regard. Then I need the American, no, I need PRR. I'm going to do the post-war engine with a short tender because it needs to be short enough to fit around the curves. We're going to see how many hoppers we can fit here. So here's a mixed 25-car train with a caboose. We have to be able to run around the hoppers. So can we fit the full 25? Actually, we can. Well, no, because we need empties, we need fulls, and we need to be able to run around them. So, counting backwards, can fit 4, 3, 2, 1, 20, 19, 18, 19, 16, 15 hoppers and a cab. So, but that's still a decent sized train. I think that's a no apologies train. Get all our hoppers loaded up with some coal. And those are all big hoppers too. I didn't have any shorties in the bunch, so. Oh, there's my GL and there's my mixed consist with 40 cars. Well, I'll measure it here and then I'll move it down on the lower track, get it coupled to the power, and oh, nope, what I want to do. I know what I want to do. Just click like that, delete, and then we can move that to the lower staging track. If I've given myself enough room, which I might not have. The power, so there's the power. And then I need to rotate it, couple it, and put a cabin, as they don't, PR don't call them booses, they called them cabins. Although, N5 might also be a good way to find it. There we go. So, we have 2 passenger trains, admittedly not Pennsy, but the world will still keep turning. And a Pennsy mine run. But in a way, it's kind of like, yes, I could play with conventional Pennsy power. Maybe toward the end I will. But I feel like having, you know, let's say I'm a Pennsy fan, but I also like my American Freedom Train and my chassis system, or Express, and I want all the things. So we're going to do all the things. We're going to get our, we're going to get 1 passenger train up and running. We'll make it the American Freedom Train first. Make sure that, I'm going to turn the volume down a bit because I don't want you guys to not be able to hear me. I'm going to make sure all the switches are set to the way I want to go. Which, I need to check the map. Oh, I need to turn my map settings on so that I can actually see junctions. Map optics, junctions, there we go. Okay, so it's set. It's going to go around the outside loop, and then I'm going to bring it onto the inside loop, because I do need to get to the outside loop in order to get my mine train up the branch in the correct way. So that guy's departing. I'm going to make sure all my other switches are set, because you know me, I have a tendency to not set my switches correctly, which is bad. And that's not set correctly. And these are definitely not set correctly. Although I could bring them onto the inside loop, I guess. And yeah, that's all set. So he's going to go onto the inside loop here, then I'm going to stay on the outside. John Overman, you got to see 614 in Strasbourg recently. Very exciting. It is. I'm pleased to say that I got to document 614's move from close to where I live in Virginia to Strasbourg. So if you go to the 614 Facebook page or their YouTube channel, that video trailer that we put out about a month ago, I made that, which was a really fun project. Okay. I'm going to turn down my own volume. It's a little loud. There we are. So there we have our American Freedom Train, and it's just going to do its thing, and we can now do our mine run and not have to worry about bad things happening. I think we don't have to worry about bad things happening, he says very optimistically. But this is what's great about this plan. So it obviously supports two, maybe even three operators. But if it's just yourself, you also have the ability to just set two trains running on the main line and you run the mine run. So yay for that flexibility. So here we are coming out with our... and Broadway Limited historically has made a Pennsy I1 model and hopper. So basically everything you see, and they did do a 614. So everything you're seeing tonight, motive power wise, you could run with Broadway. And there we are, the Freedom Train passing our little ore run. And I'm going to make sure our switch is set for the ore branch, or the mine branch, because I know I'll forget it otherwise. And look at a scene like this. Like, this is just me driving one train, the other one's doing its own thing, but look at how busy that junction feels. I'm going to turn that down further. Look at how busy that junction feels. Like, just by having the one train doing its own thing. And we don't have to babysit it. We know it's just going to be there going around in circles. And yeah, a lot of spit and polish. I'm going to want to clean this up a fair amount before I release it. But I hope that you're watching this and you're getting, like, the gist of what this track plan is about. Now, once we enter the mine branch, I'm going to add the chassis system express to the mix. Jimmy Lambert, documenting the... well, I'll get a scene set up and then I'll read your comment while this train goes by. Oh, that's a nice view, too. Oh, have a good night, Sleepy K4. Jimmy, documenting the 614 move must have been a long night. I went out to Berryville and saw it go by at 2:30 in the morning. I did not stay up that late. Like, for me, I'm filming when there's daylight. So I was not going to... So when the light went away, I got a hotel, woke up, picked up the chase from there. Unfortunately, there was a few hours layover at a couple places, so it wasn't like I had to work far to catch up to it. Yeah, documenting it through the night when there wasn't any light, not so much my thing. So I want to switch this up a bit. So I'm gonna, how do I want to do that? I'm gonna move this back to the outside loop, although I can't do that just yet. Oh, here we are. This is also a nice view. We're climbing up the mine branch. Ooh, and I should make sure my switches are set properly coming into the mine. They are. Great. So here we are coming off the junction. I can line that switch normal. This is a fun one. Different from what I build ordinarily, but some nice little bits here. This is the moment I've seen this scene in my head, but this right here, this to me is what it's about. Like, that feels classic Pennsy. And just a little bit of extra dimension to just, here we are running running through the middle division. So we'll bring in our train onto this track here. Oh, I was wondering what that smoke was, and then I realized it's the 614 bump low. Okay, and that's going to be us leaving our train parked for a moment while I get this. Let's see, it's on the inside track. I have to get that switch changed, but I kind of waited a little bit too long, so I'll need to wait a moment. Or do I want to leave it as is? No, I kind of want to switch it over. There we are. So now it's going to go around the outside, and then I could do the thing I want to do with the other. Maybe I want to... No, I'll leave it where it's at. I'm going to bring this guy out. They're kind of running opposite main, but I kind of don't care. So this is going to be my second passenger train, which I'm bringing out, and which all the switches should be set for. Although I kind of want to do a little bit of passenger finagling, so I'm going to bring it in on this line, hold the reading there. Wait, where do I need to hold the reading so I don't... I know this is probably going to result in a crash, but I'm actually trying to not make it do that, which I'm unsuccessful at because already I've screwed this up. Because already this run's going too fast. It's going to plow into my train here, which is not what I want to have happen. Yep. Ooh, please stop. Nope, not going to happen in time. And so much for that great plan. Oh. Hey, Trip. Good to see you, our duck. Okay. So we're going to pretend that didn't happen. And we're going to pretend that... But I don't actually know how I'm going to switch one over from one to the other. I kind of want to switch their places, if you get what I'm saying. So that would go by there. That would go there. Huh. That goes by there. I might need another crossover somewhere else to make this work properly. But my brain isn't functioning, so I'm going to just cheat and move them over to where I actually want them to be. And we're going to pretend that I had an elegant way of switching between those two tracks. And we're going to switch them so that they don't get any topsy-turvy. And we'll take that one at that percentage speed, and that one at that percentage speed. Oop. And I'm going to change direction. And there we go. Now we've got... Now they can do their own thing and they won't crash into each other, which is good. Back to the mine run. We're going to run the power. We're going to run the power around. We'll turn it, run it around, grab the cabin, put it on the tail, and then depart. So I could have done this as a switch, but it would have taken up more room. And, well, you kind of did catch me in the middle of a collision there, Trip. I don't want to admit it, but you kind of did. But I wanted to have a turntable. Save space, also looks cool, something different operationally. Let's see how our mainline trains are doing. Yep. Making our mainline look super busy. Like, I like the, and I'll switch these out for Pennsy, guys. I know you want to see just pure Pennsy. We'll do that in a moment. But just to, and of course I'm going to crash it by having it run back in the staging. Come for the, the prototypical, let's build a realistic looking railroad and stay for my inability to control trains properly. Um, so need to turn that a little bit further. But there's something nice about like, hey, I could be doing my thing over here and watch those two trains and they're just going in loops and they're not going to hit each other now. Now that I got them routed the right way. That's satisfying operationally. So, and that, yeah, we'll switch it all out for Pennsy to power in a moment. And we're going to throw the switch there. I need to grab the caboose, throw it there, grab the coal cars, put it on there, and then we can take off. Jimmy Lambert, that makes two ducks in the chat tonight. Yeah, Trip, you missed it, where everybody was convincing me that I needed to put a rubber duck in this layout. And maybe I'll grab one in a moment, but yes. This farm scene is probably my favorite, I have to say, which is kind of ironic because it's maybe the least middle division of the point, but I'm a sucker for branch lines. Like, and honestly, that's probably part of why it's taken so long to actually model anything Pennsy, because I like the Pennsy, I appreciate it, but and there was a time and place where I thought I was going to be a Pennsy modeler, like when I was a kid, but I have to admit, I appreciate the Pennsy. I love going to other people's Pennsy layouts, but it's not something that I look at and go, I feel the need to model this. Partially because of the size. Like, I think this layout does really well at getting the speeder into the Pennsy in a smaller space. But it's still 11 by 16. You still need a fair amount of room for it. And I'm just more of a branch line guy. I like that sort of like we're out of the, tucked out of the way kind of feel of things. I think it's more likely that when we do the Pennsy again, you're probably going to see me do something with the mind shifter. But that's just my operating style. I mean, what do you guys think of this layout? Is it something that, like, if money and space for no object, you'd build? I'd love to hear your thoughts on what we've put together tonight. And then grab the caboose. I love how the markers come on, too. That's just a nice little touch. And that could be a run in its own right. I just bring up empties and that's it. But we'll grab the loads. We'll bring them back down. I wonder if we'll get a meet here the next time the trains come by. I hear a lot of chuffing. I see chuffing there. So we might have a three-way meet of sorts. Oh, yep, and there's chuffing there. We're getting our meet. Perfect. Ah, that is neat that we can have all this traffic going on at once. Okay, I know what you're saying, Nick. I want pure Pennsy. I'll give you pure Pennsy. Much as I like this stuff, and much as it illustrates that you can do these new Broadway heavyweights can find a home on a layout like this. We're going to do actual Pennsy. We're going to do 1953 Broadway. What else do I got? I don't admittedly have a lot of Pennsy steam right now. What else do I know I have an Atlantic, though. So we'll do that. With some P70s. Oh, not those P70s. There we go. Those P70s. So we've got some P70s. So a lot of passenger stuff. But hey, the Pennsy did a lot of passenger stuff. We'll do that with a... I do have centipedes. Maybe we should do the centipedes. Just because. I'll throw the centipedes on the Broadway. I don't think that's realistic, but it's Pennsy. It counts. PR, let's see. FP7s. Definitely not a GG1. There we go. E6. So we've got our kind of local Pennsy thing, which we'll put on the inside track. So it can do the station stop. And we'll get those centipedes. Which are PRR. Sorry guys, I swear I will find them in just a moment. B something. Oh, they're Baldwin. I know that's what. There we go. There we go. Some nice big centipedes. Heading the Broadway Limited. Is this prototypical? Probably not. Is it fun? Sure. There we go. Oh, except I think I want to turn one of those because otherwise they're essentially racing each other, which is a little not what I want. There we go. Oh, that is cool. Okay, we've got that. We've got that light on. We're good. Back to our mind shifter. Which I'm going to throw all the way caboose back there. Which actually what I can do is put it on the turntable and then turn it into place so I get an even longer run of things. Hi August. How much bench work does it need? The main part of this layout is 11 by 16. The staging brings this leg to 20 feet. Pope's Creek Secondary would be a fun Pennsy modeling project. Not familiar with that plan. Alright, here we are bringing our caboose back so that all we have to do is grab onto the hoppers, shove them back into the caboose, pull out, and we're good. And basically and then we'll bring it back to staging, and that will be our stream for today. So obviously those of you who were there at the start of the stream know that kind of had a little bit of a snafu starting off where I spent the first 40 minutes of the stream talking to myself because I didn't realize, that caboose kind of kept rolling, didn't it? Shouldn't have had to keep flying. But I ended up actually finishing the track and the general landscaping before I got to the buildings and so forth. So the question for you guys is, like, how much do you care about seeing the layout start from a blank space to 100% complete? Do you prefer that? Do you mind if there's a little bit of work that I do in advance to kind of so that I can try to finish the layout in a complete state or semi-complete as we've done tonight? What your feelings on that are? Do you want the build to entirely occur within the stream, or can some of it occur before the live stream? I'd love your thoughts on that, just because I used to do more of the builds where it's like I'd start in 1 week and then I'd finish it in another week. The advantage being I can do more on stream, but I know disadvantage is people want to see me try different things, and so that kind of made it a little bit of repetitive. SD Pandy, not a plan. Branch line from Bowie to Pope's Creek. Secret way Pennsy got close enough to legally enter DC and break the B&O monopoly. Interesting. I don't know if there's a layout track plan of it. I was today years old when I learned that the B&O had a electrified line into Baltimore. I did not know that they had some of the first mainline electric power. That was a shocker to me. Learn something new every day. All right. Now we're getting underway with our mind. Well, before we do that, I want to do a stop with our local. I want to see our pastor Trainz. So we've got Uh, oh, this looks. I mean, it's crazy long, but it fits, and it doesn't look totally insane doing it. Having our but where is my? Oh, there it is. Okay, thank goodness. I was afraid that like it derailed or something. There's my local commuter train. So there's the Broadway Limited being led by Centipedes, which still fits the Broadway Limited, the model manufacturer, did do Centipedes, so you could still do that with Broadway models. I don't know if they did an E6 or not. August, you have enough room for a 10 by 16 portion. That's pretty cool. Yeah, you could probably get this to fit a 10 by 16. Oh, that is such a cool scene. Being able to have the trains going along like that. I do think there is something cool about that as a look. So we're gonna do is we're gonna show a little bit of the passenger ops side of things. We're gonna bring this guy into a station stop here, and then I'm gonna need to stop it in the tunnel so I can get the mine shifter by. Actually, no, I need to get the. It's fine. I have to make sure the Broadway Limited stops before it comes past the switch here. And I'm totally gonna remember that and not screw it up. So here we go, bringing in our local commuter train for a stop at the. Oh, we have to choose the name, right? Okay, so voting time. Your options for this town name are Colchester. I'll put it into the chat. Here are your here are the. Uh, let me separate them with commas and stuff. Colchester, Brewster, Airedale. And then I'll put commas. Okay, so these are the town names that you get to choose from if you are tuning in live. Pick your favorite name, and that will be the name of our town here. So meanwhile, we are stopping at unnamed city number 1. Oh, I should stop the Broadway now, because I think if I stop it now, it'll clear the... Yeah, there we go. And stop this. There, I can totally juggle multiple trains at once. But now, again, the original track plan did not have a station, which to me, I get, but I also feel like that's an omission. Because by having a station, now our passenger trains get to do something. Unless it's an express train like the Broadway Limited. But assuming it isn't, then they get to actually make a stop. And I think that's an important piece of the experience. Eric, you can't wait for this to be released. Well, appreciate the sentiment. As I said earlier, I am way behind on my route releases. So if somebody could help me with that, shoot me a message. My contact info is on greattrainlayouts.com because I'd love to get more of these out and get them out sooner. So we are going to... I think I'm actually going to need to take... I feel bad about this because we're coming toward the end of the stream, but I'm going to need to take a short break. So I will be back in a few minutes here on Great Train Layouts Live. And we're back here on Great Train Layouts Live, and I'm looking at your votes to see what we got. Okay, so I'm going to do some tallying. Colchester has one. Conowesson has one, two, three, four. Oh, it's going to be Conowesson. Yeah, Conowesson is our winner. So we're going to change that station name to Conowesson. And would you look at that? Ah, that looks pretty legit. So, with that said and done, we're gonna depart and get this nice departing view with the station sign in the view. That's good. All right, so we're gonna bring our mine train back down. We're going to kind of synchronize the Pennsy diesel to follow it. We'll route the mine train back into staging, and that's going to be our live stream for tonight. So, with that underway, there we are. It's amazing how beautiful the Pennsy 3 chime is, and then you have this thing, which, to be clear, is not a fault of the modeler or whoever recorded it. It is the fault of whoever thought that whistle was a good idea in life. I suppose it has its fans, but it is a taste. So here we are departing the mine with our full train of coal. We've got the Broadway Limited waiting for us to make it through. Oop, left the bell on there. Something of a three-way meet. But I like this scene. Like this scene with the two with the rock wall, and it actually does separate really surprisingly effectively from the farm scene up above. I'm gonna make sure I set that. Oh, I did not set that switch. Shame on me. Why is it not set? That switch should be set. It'll make it through. I'm not going to worry about it. So here we are making our way down through the branch. And I could see you doing other things too. You could build, like, have a populated backdrop for there, but I do think this looks nice as sort of an in-between kind of a thing, rather than a distinct landmark kind of place on the railroad. Okay, now we need to get our passenger train up and rolling so we don't rear-end it. And here we are. I mean, look at all this traffic. We've got two passenger trains, a freight train. I mean, there's a lot going on in this little layout. Yeah, that whistle is a squealer. That is true, John Overman. SD Pandy, thanks for the stream. I sent you an email and got out of office reply. Well, I'm in the office. I was out of the office. Don't worry about it. I will have gotten your message. I will get back to you. I just might have set my responder for the wrong dates and times is all. I like this brickworks too. Like, there's definitely, I could see doing a lot more industrial buildings around here, and maybe I will before I release this. We will see. Oh, and yeah, that is having the brick arch building is so distinctly Pennsy. Here we are going through junction. Ooh. That is so perfect. I didn't even plan that. I'm so happy with how that turned out. Let me make sure my switch is locked, of course. Well, maybe I'll just do a second go round. That's fine. I'll just do another go round and then we'll pull in. But I also think I just stopped my passenger train, which I didn't mean to do, so that's bad. Maybe I should stop my freight train before it turns into my passenger train. And I'm also going to set my... No, I'm not going to set my switcher. That's going to put the passenger train into the... Yeah. This is an interesting juggle to have three trains going at once. I mean, granted, one's on its own line, not going to do anything bad, but these two are a little... there's a bit more going on there. Another view of the junction. I will say, I think there is something fun about this. And yeah, there's probably better, more efficient ways to use the plan, but there is something fun about this. I could see it being right for the Pennsy person, or I mean, you could give it a C&O theme. Um, Maybe not with a quadruple track. Maybe if you like single tracked it, it'd work with C&O. But I could see it working for other railroads. Maybe Reading. I think there's a lot to like about it. It doesn't have the most operating potential. I think it's definitely a layout you're building if running big long passenger trains that don't feel like they're hogging the whole layout is your game. Um, but it is a nice. There's something charming about it. I do like it. I should say that as far as the real layout's concerned, what's interesting about it, um, it was constructed in real life, hence the book. It was designed to be modular, although allegedly its effectiveness at being modular was questionable. It did get sold eventually, and then the new person split the layout here and added a whole extension in the middle to join the two bits. Unclear if it still survives to this day or not. Darn it, that junction's still being locked. I hate the one thing. Well, I hate a few things about this game, but one of them is that it locks junctions based on how close the train is. It's like, there's no train there. Please just let me throw that switch. So I have to stop the train so that it's like, oh, the train isn't going to run over. Because this is not helpful. Like, I want to change that switch, and you're preventing me from doing so. But we will prevail, even if we have to stop completely. We'll just have to... Oop. But we also have to stop this train, because this guy got up to speed, and now is on... set to... oof. I don't think I gave enough... oh, he might... Ooh. This is not looking good for us. Yep, we're gonna get joined really soon by that passenger train, I have a feeling. Oh, this is tight. Oh, I think we're gonna make it good. So we're gonna pull this guy into staging, and then we'll be able to get the Broadway back underway. Hope this was a fun stream for everybody. Hope you enjoyed watching this build. Um, Jimmy, I will give the track plan. It really does help give that big railroad feel in a relatively small space. Yeah, there's a lot to like about it. It's not the layout for me. Like, this is not one where I build. I'm like, oh, I really wish I owned it in real life. Nah, not for me. But I enjoy experimenting. And that's what I love doing about these live streams. I get to try out different ideas, see what sticks and see what doesn't. But maybe you will enjoy it when I eventually can get around to releasing it. And Luna, the Cobalt. Hello, Luna. I feel like it could be a representation of like a small portion of an Illinois area line. Maybe, although I think it's maybe a little bit too hilly for Illinois. I'm not. I'm not sure I see it as Illinois. I mean, granted, my knowledge of Illinois isn't perfect. but it is a bit hilly, so I'm not sure if I totally see it as an Illinois thing. And we'll bring this to a stop here. We set the switch so our Broadway Limited is going to continue on without doing anything bad. And we'll take one last look. And I'm going to, for this one, this last look, I'm going to show you the original track plan for those who weren't at the start of the stream. And I'm going to show you the end. So this is what we began with. And again, the big differences, we switched this yard out for the, we switched this yard out for just a single freight shed or single industry. We got rid of this complicated junction, and now instead of just being 2 tracks, it's 4 tracks all the way through, but are really just 2 double track dog bone. And we added staging, and we took the mine and we extended that way. And when we did all that, this is what we got, which, yeah, I'm happy with that. I think it's a different, it's a different take. I mean, it has such a different feel than what Dave built. But that's the fun of model railroading, is you get to build what you want, and you can start with one vision and end up with something completely different. And one track plan could be interpreted in 10 different ways. So, good to see you, Kevin. Oh, well, Luna, I'm glad you had the courage to join us in the chat. And thank you for tuning in and watching this. I'm sorry again by the abrupt nature in which the stream started, but I had fun. I had fun building this. It was fun to be joined with you, these guys. Fun to be joined by you. You want to thank Broadway Limited for sponsoring this stream. You should check out their heavyweight passenger cars. There's a link in the description to see what they've got on offer. Some good products there. And I appreciate your time. Thank you. Stay safe, have fun, and have a good night.